Donald Trump just finished giving the commencement address at West Point Military Academy in New York, and I think that this speech was way worse than anybody expected. You just got to see some of these clips. He ranted about things from trophy wives to not understanding how certain military planes work. I mean, it is so incredibly concerning that this guy is the president of the United States. So I want to just jump in here and not waste any time. Let's start with the first clip where Donald Trump displays his ignorance on the military, not understanding how certain planes work. Just take a look. You have to see it for yourself.
And I've approved a $1 trillion investment, and that will be, again, the largest ever in the history of our country. And we are buying you new airplanes, brand new, beautiful planes, redesigned planes, brand new planes, totally stealth planes. I hope they're stealth. I don't know. That whole stealth thing, I'm sort of wondering. You mean if we shape a wing this way, they don't see it, but the other way they see it? I'm not so sure. But that's what they tell me.
Yeah, so just notice how the crowd is entirely silent as Donald Trump is going on this rant, proving that the commander-in-chief right now, the head of the military right now, doesn't understand how certain stealth planes work. He doesn't understand how they're built. He doesn't understand why they're useful. He's questioning if they're even effective in front of West Point Military Academy graduates. I mean, just read the room, Donald. Save your ignorance for a private meeting in the Oval Office. But it's so incredibly sad that in the United States, we've had military generals as president before. Dwight D. Eisenhower comes to mind for me. And now fast forward to 2025, we have this Cheeto dust felon who doesn't understand the basics of the military. You would hope that he would, but obviously not. And this reminds me of all the different military officials in Donald Trump's first term who resigned or were fired and came out and said that, yeah, Donald Trump has absolutely no understanding of the military. Like, take a look at former Navy Secretary Richard Spencer, who was fired by Donald Trump. And after he left the White House, he said in an interview with CBS that Donald Trump, quote, that he doesn't think that Donald Trump really understands the full definition of a warfighter. He also said, quote, a warfighter is a profession of arms, and a profession of arms has standards that they have to be held to, and they hold themselves to. He's saying, I don't think Donald Trump understands the definition of a warfighter. I don't think that Donald Trump understands anything about the military, and he's absolutely right. And that reminds me of another military official, a retired four-star general, saying that Donald Trump is a threat toward national security during his first term. Barry McCaffrey, again, a four-star general, put this out on social media in 2018, saying reluctantly, I have concluded that Donald Trump is a serious threat to U.S. national security. He is refusing to protect vital U.S. interests from active Russian attacks. It is apparent that he is, for some unknown reason, under the sway of Mr. Putin, which is a scathing attack from a former retired four-star general. Really serious. But I mean, how can you conclude otherwise? How can you conclude that Donald Trump, one, cares about the military, or two, knows about the military when he says stuff like this? He just doesn't understand basics of the military. Now, I want to get on to the next clip, which is Donald Trump ranting about trophy wives during his speech at West Point Military Academy. All of these parents and these family and friends are watching their loved ones graduate, and they see the president of the United States talking about trophy wives. Really? Just have a look at this clip for yourself. It is insane.
A trophy one. It didn't work out too well, but that doesn't work out too well, I must tell you. A lot of trophy wives doesn't work out. But it made him happy for a little while at least. But he found a new wife. He sold his little boat and he got a big yacht. He had one of the biggest yachts anywhere in the world. He moved for a time to Monte Carlo and he led the good life. And time went by and he got bored, and 15 years later, the company that he sold to called him, and they said, the housing business is not for us. You have to understand, when Bill Levitt was hot, when he had momentum, he'd go to the job sites every night, he'd pick up every loose nail, he'd pick up every scrap of wood. If there was a bolt or a screw laying on the ground, he'd pick it up and he'd use it the next day in putting together a house. A trophy one.
Okay, I mean, look, can anybody, we need to break out the Trump dictionary to define what the hell just happened. Can anybody tell me how trophy wives and whoever he's talking about here has any connection to the military, any connection to these people who are graduating, who are going to serve the United States of America, which, by the way, they're all amazing? Can anybody just provide any insight on that? Why is this guy talking about trophy wives? Why is he talking about that on their special day? Oh, we know why. Because he has no idea, number one, what he's talking about, and two, he's too focused on himself and talking about the things that he wants to talk about. Clearly, Donald Trump is engaging in some projection here, projecting his own issues, our own insecurities, our own concerns onto this entire crowd of people while speaking at a commencement address. It is so strange what this guy gets into and what he rants about at these speeches. I wasn't joking when I said it was worse than I think anybody anticipated, because it's really bad. And it only gets worse from here, where Donald Trump decided to break into almost a campaign speech at the commencement address, talking about trade deals and how successful he's been there. I don't know, all very strange. And notice, of course, how he's wearing a MAGA hat on top of it all. Really weird, but just take a look at this clip.
Gone are the days where defending every nation but our own was the primary thought. We are putting America first. We have to put America first. We have to rebuild and defend our nation. And very shortly, you're going to see a nation better than it's ever been. And you see that with the trade. For years, we've been ripped off by every nation in the world on trade. We've been ripped off at the NATO level. We've been ripped off like no country has ever been ripped off, but they don't rip us off anymore. They're not going to rip us off anymore. And you're seeing it. You have to watch what we're doing on trade. I know it's not your primary thing, but it's quite important in all fairness. But watch. You'll see what's going on. You've been reading about it over the last few days. We're making deals with other nations that were nobody thought it would be even possible. And the reason is very simple. They respect us again. They're respecting our country again. That's what you want. And everything we do, we are bringing common sense back to America. It's all about.
Oh, yeah, because, Donald Trump talking about airplanes and not understanding how they are stealth is very common sense, right? That makes perfect sense, right? Donald Trump firing all these people from the federal government makes perfect sense. Is that common sense? Donald Trump placing these tariffs on all these different companies and countries, that's common sense. Yeah, the only thing that Donald Trump is bringing back to the United States is chaos, is disaster, is hurt and economic pain. That's all he is doing right now. And I just find this rant about trade deals to be especially egregious. Just especially egregious because it's completely contradictory to everything that Donald Trump has said publicly and privately. I mean, just look at what the Trump administration said back in April, that they're seeking 90 trade deals in 90 days. Experts said it's not happening, and what do you know? It hasn't happened. There hasn't been a single trade deal. And now Donald Trump has just given up, saying, I'm not looking for a deal, and he's revived his global trade war with Europe, the EU, especially China, and threatening to raise tariffs on all these different companies and countries, especially even going after companies like Apple and Samsung, saying that if they don't make their products here in the United States, they will be tariffed. So Donald Trump is at West Point saying, hey, we're doing such a good job on trade. We've made all of these deals, but also I'm not looking for a deal. And the 90 deals in 90 days thing has completely flopped. I mean, this is the mind of Donald Trump. This is the mind of the Trump administration, where it's just lie after lie after lie. And depending on where he is, whether he's speaking at a commencement speech or sitting in the Oval Office, he'll tell a different truth. One time he says something else, the other time he says another. It is just insane that this guy is the president of the United States. It's also insane that he's the commencement speaker at West Point. And I feel so bad for all of these families who are watching their children graduate, all these loved ones of the children watching them graduate, and having to share that day with this buffoon, Donald Trump, who didn't speak about their courage, didn't speak about their strength, didn't even focus on them. Instead, he focused on himself, his administration, and apparently trophy wives. But I don't know, what else can we expect from Donald Trump these days. So listen, I just wanted to show you Trump's disastrous speech at West Point Military Academy in New York, because it was really just truly crazy. But if you are somebody who has a loved one or family member graduating today, thank you, thank you, thank you, and congratulations. We appreciate you very much. I will leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe down below. It goes an incredibly long way. Also drop a like on the video and comment. Let me know what you think about all of this stuff. And as I always say, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.